All right, Lagos, welcome to Build Right here on Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. It's Thursday, the 20th of June, 2024. It's nice to, know that you're part of our broadcast of shows, and especially this program on this great day. So Build Right is that program that takes you through the intricacies of, fiscal planning and urban development in Lagos State. We serve you with information containing all you need to know about fiscal planning, building development, and yes, every other thing that comes with it here in Lagos State. All right, and so today we shall be having a very interesting conversation looking at fiscal planning as a tool for tourism in Lagos State. And joining me on the program, I have my guest here, is already seated. But before I let him in, I would like us to go on a break. I will take a message from our partners, and when we return, we shall begin the conversation.
Dear Lagosians, the vision of making Lagos a sustainable and resilient state through community regeneration and inclusive physical planning begins with building right. We all have a role to play in achieving this vision in line with the Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning and Development Law of 2019 as amended. Do you know that before buying a land or building on it, you must check for the permissible use from the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development? Do you know that you must obtain a planning permit and authorization to commence the construction of your building? Do you also know that you require state certification and certificate of completion for building construction in Lagos State? Estate developers must obtain layout approval before developing their estates and obtain full planning permit after the expiration of a provisional planning permit. Dear Lagosians, do not carry out unapproved renovation, remodeling, or demolition. Do not break the seal on an enforced property. Do not obtain fake planning permits, and do not abandon uncompleted buildings. Do not break the law. Build right in accordance with the state operative development plans. Let's work together to make Lagos a sustainable smart city of choice. For more information, download the Lagos State MPP UD app on Google Play Store and Apple Store. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, Àjùmọ̀ṣe ni. Announcer, Lagos State Government.
All right, Lagos, Nigeria, welcome back to Build Right this beautiful Thursday morning. Quick one just to remind you that all things are still looking cool and calm out there, traffic-wise. And, a movement along the Third Milan Bridge connecting the island seems to be quite favorable based on what we have gathered in the last 10 minutes. And not forgetting the Ikorodu Road still moving as expected this Thursday morning. For the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway, slight slowing down, beginning from Ajayi Farm towards National, occasioned by the narrowed path and high volume of traffic moving in that direction. All right, and so we'll continue to, monitor things and I'll give you more traffic reports intermittently, even as we have our conversation woven around fiscal planning and tourism this morning. My guest is here in the studio. He's already said that he is Dr. Olayinka Olumide, of course, the Honorable Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development. Good morning, sir, and good to have you on the program this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Lagosians.
Yes. All right. So let's talk about the amnesty initiative on planning permit approvals for completed buildings. I understand it's still on. And so how's this initiative going, Honorable Commissioner?
Yeah, thank you very much. I really must commend Lagosians because the exercise is going on very smoothly. A lot of people have responded and are responding, and it's quite encouraging. It's quite encouraging.
So it's quite obvious that, the time is drawing near. We're given 3 months for this exercise, but a lot of Lagosians are coming out to say, hey, 3 months is too short. Are there plans to extend the duration?
Well, our usual system, we always keep things for the last minute. We've seen signals on that because the first week it was very low, but along the line it picked up and it's been going up. So most likely we'll probably seek for extension. I'm sure the governor will like that.
Oh, so it's in the pipeline. All right. Honorable Commissioner, for those who are not plugged into this yet, what is the real myth behind the burn of this initiative?
Yeah, thank you very much. We've actually opened up help desk at our various district offices, and the fillers we are getting basically on complain on the cost. Imagine somebody who has a building, a bungalow, he's been living there for years, and suddenly is touched and he wants to get approval, and is given a bill of 700, 800,000, hitting them very hard. So,
Right.
I mean, it's so we have problem regarding the cost. We also have problem in terms of them getting their title, which we're also helping them on. And again, consultants again should also see this in the same vein with the government,
Right.
and try to help their clients by assisting them at the production of those drawings at low cost. But it's quite encouraging, I must confess.
Okay, so for someone who is willing to be repentant, what steps should he or she take in righting the wrongs of so many years?
Yeah, the first thing is that they need to get their title documents, they need to get their survey, they need to get their drawings, and approach us. So getting the drawings for story buildings, they have integrity test and the engineer's report.
Right.
Then all this will take some form of money, but it's an appeal to our colleagues, professionals, that they should also help us to help these people and let them get their drawings and buildings approved.
All right, Lagos, Nigeria. Build Right is the program, and you've been listening to the voice of the Honorable Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, Dr. Olayinka Olumide. So we're getting to the nitty-gritty of things now. Fiscal planning as a tool for tourism in Lagos. Commissioner, can you do us an overview of how fiscal planning and urban development intersects with the tourism sector, especially here in Lagos?
Yeah, thank you very much once again. You see, first let us have an understanding of planning. And it's very simple. It's just a process of thinking regarding activities required to achieve a desired goal. That's planning. And bringing it now down to physical planning, you see that of recent, couple of weeks back, we handed over the regional plan, master plan for Ikorodu. We also done Alimosho, Koshofe. We are presently on Badagry now. We are also on Lagos Island. And
Right.
what we do in all these cases is trying to come up with a plan, which is activities regarding what we feel that it should be. That's all about planning. So, and to do that, we engage all the people, the urbans, the community leaders, the area leaders, everybody, to the immediate activity of those. For example, Badagry now, we know their primary role function there, it's fishing.
Absolutely.
So you cannot talk of any planning without recognizing their original lifestyle.
Which
So
is fishing.
that's what we do in planning. We go down to the grassroots, get to, sometimes we even stay with them, get to know how they do and live and operate their life, and we do the planning in that regard, recognizing the way and manner they live their life.
Right.
Now, bringing it down to tourism, it's all about the social, cultural, and economic phenomena of people movement. People moving, you travel outside your area,
Right.
London, Dubai, Oshun, Abeokuta, and things like that. You want to see good things. And again, the key tool that can aid this tourism,
Absolutely.
in all fairness, is planning, physical planning.
Planning,
The way we structure all the infrastructure to enable that people can come and enjoy those lifestyle. That's what we have. And Ministry of Tourism, they've been in constant collaboration with us in terms of planning to be able to identify, for example, the Makoko area, the way they live, how do you do a development. We cannot just go there and say, okay, push them away, Sanfil, and no. You have to do the planning in recognition of their lifestyle. And that's what will enable people to want to come in, to want to take advantage and see and appreciate all those cultural values.
So, what are some of the notable iconic structures that have been developed in our region so far?
Yeah, again, physical planning also plays a very, very vital role in terms of iconic structural development.
Yes.
What we've been doing over the past couple of months now is also to encourage and advise some clients who are making submission. You know, every building that will be, you are altering the natural state of the environment, and you should be able to come up with something that will be appealing to people, something that people will want to see regularly. That's the whole essence of all these iconic structures. You know, the people should also to be able to benefit from structures that are being built. But unfortunately, I wouldn't say we are far from it, but we are getting to understand it now. Because when you do a mighty, magnificent structure,
absolutely,
and you fence it up, so what will the people benefit? You go abroad, you see this kind of structure, people will be able to move nearby
and even take photos.
You relax there, take pictures,
right,
sit down under the trees, under the flowers, and read. So the people are benefiting from that structure. We cannot here say, okay, everything will fence up, So we must have design that are iconic, that people also will benefit from it. You see some deliberate designs. We can have pedestal bridges, pedestal walkways, where people can climb and have a view, relax in the evening and read their novels, stay under the trees and to enjoy the shade. So these are things that we are now encouraging developers of iconic structures to be doing. And in Lagos, there are some iconic structures. For example, the Mobile House. If you drive past there on a daily basis, you still have a feeling of a good building. And you know, one interesting thing about iconic structure is that each time you pass such structures, it communicates to you.
Definitely.
There's some feeling you get.
Yes.
Maybe you are hurrying somewhere and you get to an iconic structure. It should send a message to you, for example, calming you down. You know, it's sending a signal. So, for example, if on the marina you see Charara's building, which is now Wema Bank.
Yes.
If you look at that structure, you feel like wanting to see it more often. That is the impact iconic structure should be passing on people.
All right, Lagos, Nigeria. Build Right is the program, and this morning we're looking at fiscal planning as a tool for tourism. So we're merging, fiscal planning and tourism together here in Lagos. Well, my guest is still the Honorable Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, Dr. Olayinka Olumide. And we're going to have to go on a break now. We'll take a message from our partners, and when we return, we shall continue the conversation. Don't forget, Lagos, we are live on YouTube. Connect with us, Traffic Radio 961. Feel free to like, share, and of course, hit the subscribe button. Twitter is also up and X also up and running. Traffic Radio 961.
Dear Lagosians, the vision of making Lagos a sustainable and resilient state through community regeneration and inclusive physical planning begins with building right. We all have a role to play in achieving this vision in line with the Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning and Development Law of 2019 as amended. Do you know that before buying a land or building on it, you must check for the permissible use from the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development? Do you know that you must obtain a planning permit and authorization to commence the construction of your building? Do you also know that you require state certification and certificate of completion for building construction in Lagos State? Estate developers must obtain layout approval before developing their estate and obtain full planning permit after the expiration of a provisional planning permit. Their Lagosians, do not carry out unapproved renovation, remodeling, or demolition. Do not break the seal on an enforced property. Do not obtain fake planning permits, and do not abandon uncompleted buildings. Do not break the law. Build right in accordance with the state operative development plans. Let's work together to make Lagos a sustainable smart city of choice. For more information, download the Lagos State MPP UD app on Google Play Store and Apple Store. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, Àjùmọ̀ṣe ni. Announcer, Lagos State Government.
All right, Lagos, welcome back to the show. This is Build Right here on Africa's first authentic traffic radio. We are Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Before we continue the conversation, let's do some traffic update. This one here just popped in and talks about an impediment at Idiruku, which has been recovered from the median. But then it's heavily loaded and having bad tires. So this means that it just has to be managed to delay by so that other vehicles can ply that route. And we also have traffic personnel, that's traffic managers, very much on ground, flushing the backlog. All right, so another quick one here talks about the Alausa-Ikeja corridor. I will just, summarize this report. Coming from, I hear it's a moving traffic now on Latif Jakande Road, coming in from Omoli Roundabout en route to Wemco Junction to link Ahmed Junction. Traffic on the stretch of Agadingbi Cadbury towards Mobile. It's quite on high side, so look out. Some slow movement is expected. Taking up from Mobile through Coca-Cola Junction. Here it looks good on that stretch. Moving traffic on the Bafemi Olo Road, right from Barracks through Coke Junction, Radio Allen intersection. Basically high influx connecting the junctions there where we have the traffic light regulating vehicular movement. All right, so navigating Olowu, Balogun down to underneath the Ikeja Bridge is still fair. Looking at the Allen Junction corridor, moving towards Aromire isn't bad, but coming from Aromire, pretty high. But no cause for alarm. Traffic lights alternating at Allen Junction. That's the reason for the slight delay you are experiencing at this time. All right, so we're still looking at fiscal planning as a tool for tourism in Lagos. All right, and I have the Honorable Commissioner here with me in the studio, giving us insights on, the relationship between fiscal planning and tourism. So I want us to talk about the process of planning. How does it, that's a planning for iconic structures now. How does this process differ from other types of urban development projects?
Yeah, thank you once again. Now, in an advanced world, you see a scenario where developments are done in conjunction with the local planning authority, private developments.
Right.
They come in there and assist the private developers so that the structures they are putting there will not only be of benefit to the owner, but also to the environment and by extension to the people.
Right.
So that's the concept of iconic structure. However, it's important that we must recognize the importance of preserving iconic structures.
Okay.
Now, in the past, in Lagos, for example, in Lagos Island, you have all those Brazilian types architectural buildings.
Absolutely.
That are supposed to be preserved. And unfortunately, people not having the understanding of importance of preserving such structures, just go in and demolish and
erect new structures.
So it has to be a joint understanding, the government and the people. In this case, the government may have to come in, to actually assist owners of those structures by way of preserving them, because they go a long way of historic value.
Definitely.
We probably want to understand how we metamorphose into our present position. In fact, even for students of architecture, you will see the development when we all started from Adam and Eve, from hiding under the cave, covering ourselves with flowers, to tent and shell. And so you can see the trend of development. So you cannot be talking of modern development without having an understanding of how we metamorphose over time.
Right.
And those things, some of them of necessity has to be preserved so that they can let us remember our past.
All right. I think it's time for us to take this conversation to the people out there. Lagos, you can connect with us on the program. If you've got questions for the Honorable Commissioner, feel free to do so via the phone line 0915 387 7127. We'll be getting reactions already via the WhatsApp platform. Connect with us on 0809 9120 777 for WhatsApp and 0915 387 7127. And we're talking fiscal planning as a tool for tourism in Lagos. My guest is Dr. Olayinka Olumide, Honorable Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development. So let's begin to take some reactions on WhatsApp. I have this one that reads, good morning. How can the Lagos State government better sensitize local residents on the importance of maintaining and appreciating tourist attractions? And this coming from John Adewale in Ikeja.
Yeah, thank you very much. First and foremost is the major challenge with our tourism areas mostly now are probably what can be termed as area boys. So because you come in from abroad, you want to see nice historic places, and you get in there, you are being harassed by. So we need to first take care of that. And of course, I mean, that's on a global level. Find a way to pull them off the road, improve our education system, see to our unemployment system. So those are things that can pull them off that structure. But the people themselves also need to understand the importance of tourism. Because when you say tourism is an economic tool, what it simply implies is that people want to move to a places to have a feeling. And when they move to that new places, they are definitely, as a matter of necessity, they must spend money.
Most definitely.
They must spend money. So those are the economic benefit. And people must be ready for that. However, to a large extent, I would say that most of our people are very, very cooperative regarding that. Because you go to the Badagry, most tourists go there.
Oh, yes.
And there's never been cases of rejection from the locals. They readily accept. Then you go to Ekpe, you readily accept. So there is no challenge. The problem probably is in access to the place, harassment on the way. So that we need to face very squarely.
So let's take it from angle of selecting sites for development of this iconic structure. So what are the key considerations when selecting site for the development of iconic structures that aims to boost tourism?
Yeah, there are so many factors. For example, National Theatre is an iconic structure.
Absolutely.
You see where it was located with large expanse of land, because it's expected that it will take. So consideration must have gone in there that, okay, this is an iconic structure for the whole of Nigeria, so you need that space. Now, bringing it down to locals now, if you have an iconic site, like for example now, Lagos State government is doing the Film City in Ejiri.
Right.
That's also an iconic site. It's targeted to rival Hollywood in the US. So that's so, that also has to be planned, and that's why it was moved to that particular area, so that when you are going there, you are going for a purpose. It cannot just be located anyhow, because there might be conflict. Also,
so location is a key.
Yeah, location is very, very key. Location is very, very key. And again, you don't locate something that will negate the immediate local structure.
Right.
For example, Ekpe is a riverine area, Badagry is a riverine area. If you now talk of upland area like Oregun, so you cannot locate a structure that will lean on water in Oregun, for example.
Right, very true.
So the location is very, very key.
All right. Okay, we have reactions. Wensu Emmanuel is connecting with us, and it says, hi, LTR. What initiatives is the Lagos State government undertaking to attract more tourists to the Badagry slave trade site?
Yeah, if you go there of recent, there has been a lot of development. Lagos State government has done through the Ministry of Tourism. The place is much improved now, and all the facilities there are put there properly, so you can actually walk through and see from point of no return, where our forefathers are let loose into the ships, down to the building. It's all taken care of. The very first building, story building in Nigeria is there. It's preserved now for people to see. And for those of us in built environment, when you go and see something like that, it gives you a kind of inspiration into what led to the thought of a high-rise building. So it's a thing that we just cannot do. It's about the history, so we keep building on that.
Okay, so let's talk about, preservation. You mentioned preservation as being key, in terms of keeping up with the history of a particular region where these iconic structures are situated. Now, what strategies are in place to ensure that the development of iconic structures is sustainable? We understand sustainability is also a very key aspect of, preserving these iconic structures. So are there plans for sustainability?
Yeah, there are plans, but however, the very first key thing has to do with the belief in the concept of maintenance.
Maintenance. Okay.
So once that is taken seriously, look at National Theatre, for example, look at National Stadium. These are all iconic structures, but the challenge has been recognition of maintenance. And, it's like looking at it as a project. One key thing in sustaining any project, any iconic structure is it must be self-sustaining. It's very key. And to
when you say self-sustaining, how do you explain that to the layman?
The building must be able to maintain itself.
Okay.
It must be able to maintain itself. If not, then it doesn't want to be called iconic structure. And to do that, we are just about getting there now, recognizing the fact that there is a profession called facility management. Facility management. You cannot take up that role because you are not equipped to do it.
Right.
So if we do the right thing, putting the right peg in the right hole, facility manager will work out the modality for self-sustaining, self-maintaining of that particular building. That's how it's structured. If we don't have the tools to do it, you cannot do it on your own. A facility manager will structure out, okay, for this particular building, this is what is going to take me to run it power if I'm relying on public supply. If I'm going to rely on self-sustaining, that means generating set. This is what is going to take me in terms of diesel or petrol consumption. So all these things are worked out that this building, for it to maintain its status as an iconic structure, this is the cost it's going to take for a year. Then you now work out on the inflow. What are the things I can do to enable me to get this fund? Is the fund going to be entirely from the owner, to be given by the owner? If it is not, how do I put it to use? You're not talking of the economic side of it. How do I put it to use in such a way that I can leverage on people? For example, you can have a site, you can nicely make it in that people will come and take picture. And when they take picture, maybe you charge them some token. Things like that. Those are ways to raise funds. You can decide that, okay, I want to go commercial. For example, Lagos TV area now, you see from time to time they run programs as a way of raising funds. So those are things that can be put in place to sustain that structure. It might be difficult to want to say you rely that every time the owner will have to bring in money. No, the building itself should be self-sustaining.
Right. All right. So Bola is also connecting with us and says, good morning. The giant fishes at Aja were a great tourist eye there. Why were they removed? That's a question Bola is asking this morning.
Now, it must have constituted some form of a nuisance. You will agree with me that over the past few months now, the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, they've been going out aggressively to clear up areas that are misused. So if an area is misused, it has to be cleared before you can now be talking of putting it back to original status of the use in that area.
So it's been constituting some sort of nuisance, you say.
Yes.
All right, Lagos, Dr. Olayinka Olumide is my guest. He's your Honorable Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development. We're looking at fiscal planning as a tool for tourism in Lagos State. We'll go on a break. We'll take a message from our partners once more. And when we return, we shall have more conversations. Stay here.
Dear Lagosians, the vision of making Lagos a sustainable and resilient state through community regeneration and inclusive physical planning begins with building right. We all have a role to play in achieving this vision in line with the Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning and Development Law of 2019 as amended. Do you know that before buying a land or building on it, you must check for the permissible use from the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development? Do you know that you must obtain a planning permit and authorization to commence the construction of your building? Do you also know that that you require state certification and certificate of completion for building construction in Lagos State? Estate developers must obtain layout approval before developing their estates and obtain full planning permit after the expiration of a provisional planning permit. Their Lagosians do not carry out unapproved renovation, remodeling, or demolition. Do not break the seal on an enforced property. Do not obtain fake planning permits, and do not abandon uncompleted buildings. Do not break the law. Build right in accordance with the state operative development plans. Let's work together to make Lagos a sustainable smart city of choice. For more information, download the Lagos State MPP UD app on Google Play Store and Apple Store. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, Àjùmọ̀ṣe ni. Announcer, Lagos State Government.
All right, Lagos, welcome back to Build Right here on Africa's first authentic traffic radio. Just to remind you that the earlier reported impediment at Idiroku has been recovered from the median, but moved to a side of the road to allow other vehicles, to ply that corridor. Idiroku, Inward Maryland, that's where we had that impediment affecting movement on both sides. It was a case of a loaded truck having a tie rod problem. While on top speed, it developed a tie rod problem and swerved by the median there. But it has been taken off that corridor and moved to a side of the road. Okay, then, so let's move on. We've been having conversations woven around fiscal planning and tourism here in Lagos. The Honorable Commissioner is still here. We still have room for some more questions, but Honorable Commissioner, I'd like us to run through some of the iconic structures we have in Lagos State for clear understanding.
Now, for a structure to qualify as
an iconic structure, yes.
Now, you probably, what are the criteria that can qualify a structure as iconic?
Okay.
You have aesthetic value.
Okay, aesthetic value.
You have historical value.
Right.
You have sociocultural value. You have economic value. And you have deliberate act. Then you also have unifying factor. Mm-hmm. And if I'm to give one example each, for example, unifying factor.
Okay.
We all know Abuja is a capital territory for Nigeria. That's
Definitely.
A unifying factor.
Mm-hmm.
And you go there, you see the way it's located, even the shape of Abuja is, like pulling everybody together. That's a unifying factor. Now you also have deliberate act. Like, for example, Burj Khalifa in United Arab Emirates is a deliberate act that, they want to have the tallest building in the world. And we've been having people coming up in Lagos too that they want to have the tallest building, not only in Lagos, but in Africa. So that would definitely qualify as iconic. You can also have economic, that a project, a structure is there for economic purpose. For example, the former, the CBN head office in Lagos before, it's economic. The way it's done with cowrie shell, that which used to be a symbol of money.
How about the Third Mainland Bridge?
Yeah, that's also
the longest
iconic.
bridge in West Africa.
You can also have socio-cultural,
right.
Then historical. You want to have buildings that are, for example, the first rich man in Lagos State, the house he built. Mm-hmm. Those are historical.
The first story building.
The first story building. Then you have aesthetic buildings that are, made for that purpose. Right. For example, the Lagos Central Mosque, is religious and it's aesthetic. The cathedral at Marina, also the Holy Cathedral at Holy Cross. Those are iconic based on those the parameters.
Okay, so I have a reaction here from Shehu Ibrahim, and it says, why can't the Lagos State government build on iconic monuments similar to the Eiffel Tower, Statue of Liberty, or Taj Mahal, that is uniquely representative of Lagos and recognizable worldwide?
Well, we let me first say that the way we are now, I think it will be better if it is private driven rather than government. There are a lot of commitments that the government has to do now. So to be going into iconic structure now might not be worthwhile economically. However, if you remember the bridge, the Ikoyi Bridge now has, if you want to, the moment you show that bridge in picture or in film, you all know that this is Lagos.
Definitely.
In fact, most Nollywood now, they show some clips of that building. So the moment you see it, you know it's Lagos. Remember the three white men of Lagos.
Of course.
The moment you see those three with their chief, you know that this is Lagos. So these are historical things. But it's better driven from the private sector.
Yeah, and that leads us to the next question. The role of public and private partnership when it comes to developing these iconic structures. I want us to look into it briefly. So where do these two parties come to play in this regard?
Yeah. Now, for example, as government now, all the structures that we are doing now, major infrastructure, is considered with a lot of consideration for aesthetic value, which qualifies as iconic. If you look at the blue line, for example, now, it's also iconic because if you stay afar and you watch it moving, you know, it's something of interest.
Absolutely.
Now, also, in the buildings that, or the structures, let me not say building now, the structures being put up by the government now, they are also expected to depict some iconic features. However, you have a lot of private initiatives coming up now. If you go along Ikoyi, Banana Island, so many iconic structures are coming up now. And once they come for approval, we sit down with them to be able to come up with, okay, this is what you want to do. But this building also should qualify for building of aesthetic value to the state. And we assist them in form of guidance that what they can put, what they can do, so that it can end up as iconic structure for the benefit of the state.
For instance, the Eco Atlantic.
Yes, yeah, the Eco Atlantic, for example.
Honorable Commissioner, I must confess our time is fast spent. I would have loved to have us have this conversation longer than now, but our time is fast spent. But before I let you go, what would be your parting thoughts to our listeners out there?
Let me go back to the amnesty period that we have. That please, let us. We've seen that a lot of people are responding. They are welcome, and let's do the right thing and get all our building structures approved, because you cannot approach any bank now. They will demand for approval. You cannot approve any embassy. Once you talk about structures that you needed to bring your structure, they will ask for the permit. Even some tenants now, we've been advising them before they enter your house, they will ask for the approval of those buildings. And people that are selling houses, before anybody buys the house now, they will ask for approval. So it's very, very important. And again, to our people, when we approach you that your building is what's being reserved for conservation, please, it's not a punishment. It's a thing of the joy.
All right.
The thing of the joy. So we should be we should be ready to not only assist the government but also ourselves, because a beautiful and nice environment is for all.
Definitely. I must say a very big thank you, Honorable Commissioner, for coming on board the program this morning. All right, Lagos. My guest has been Dr. Olayinka Olumide, Honorable Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, and been looking at fiscal planning as a tool for tourism in Lagos. We must go now, but not before I appreciate Mrs. Adetola Kende Akinsoya. She's Chief Public Affairs Officer, and also Mr. Mukaila Sanusi, Director of Public Affairs for the Ministry of Fiscal Planning and Urban Development. Thank you for the logistics. And also, a big thank you to Victor Terry, who has assisted in production, and to my executive producer, Tayo Akonle. Build Rights will come your way again next week, Thursday, at exactly 9:15. But till then, have yourself a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. My name is Mike James.